and welcome back to my desk space. So today I have a long overdue video of my top 10 manga that I read in 2022. I know it's probably like the end of February right now, so we pretty much are a little bit delayed in this video, but I really wanted to still share with you everything that I really enjoyed in 2022. And this is kind of like a demographic / genre awards for me, because I feel like there's a lot of genres here and that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I wanted to get started. These are in no particular order in my opinion. I just loved them all and I really wanted to share which ones that I enjoyed. So the first one I want to showcase is Daily Report About My Witch Senpai. This one is probably within the Josei category because it is about two office workers and one of them is a witch basically, and her co-worker starts to kind of take an interest in her, and yeah, they start a really cute relationship, and I thought it was really sweet. It's quite healthy in terms of their communication, and also it's just really sweet art style, and also the story flows really well. It is a bit more like episodic, I would say. It doesn't flow in the conventional story way, but I did really like the way it was portrayed and their love was portrayed as well, and I thought it was just really cute. I feel like she has a little bit of insecurities at the beginning based on one of her previous relationships where that kind of comes to light, but in the end they end up having a really cute relationship. So I really enjoyed it, and this one is actually only 2 volumes, so it is quite short, but actually they ended up continuing the mangaka Maka Mochida ended up continuing this story because of how well loved the series was and how well received it was. So I'm actually super glad that this was that well received, that we're gonna get more of this story, because I just think it's really cute, and it kind of ended off in a really sweet note. But I mean, I'm always up for more of these two and their story. So yeah, definitely recommend this one if you like office romances with a little bit of a magical twist. And then for my historical drama genre, I guess, it would definitely be the Apothecary Diaries. This one I enjoyed immensely. I am actually still continuing to read this one since the anime announcement came out. Definitely watched the trailer for that. I didn't expect that we would get an anime so soon for this series, but I'm ecstatic because the animation, the music, it looks absolutely stunning. Definitely recommend this one. But this is about a girl called Xiao Mao. We call her Mao Mao, and she basically gets sold into the palace life as a servant, and one day, using her skills and as well as kind of her ability to kind of solve mysteries, as well as being a very talented apothecary, she kind of helps one of the people discover a mystery behind why some of the palace court ladies' babies are dying. And so she kind of gets promoted as one of the palace court ladies' food taster, and then it kind of goes from there, in which a lot of these kind of court palace intrigue mysteries start happening, and she is kind of there to help solve some of these mysteries, and I really enjoy it. It has that palace court drama feel for sure. It has loads of the history there as well as kind of the fight and battles that ensue within the palace, which is very nice. I do like that. I like a little bit of that palace court intrigue, as well as the mysteries that are being solved. She is just really clever, and she kind of holds her ground in everything that she does, as well as there is this very handsome eunuch called Jinshi, and he is pretty much beloved by everyone because of how, good looking he is, and he has like that charisma, but she kind of is blinded to that. She's not like super, infatuated by him like everyone else, which I really like. I feel like the reactions that she has when he comes close to her are just so funny. And yeah, she just holds her ground. She doesn't let herself get bullied. She's very clever. She's very powerful in her own way, and I really enjoyed that about her. Like, her character just makes this series so good, and the mysteries as well are just very fun, and the way she solves them, and it's just very clever. I really like how clever it is, and also the art style is really good. It's very clean, very pretty. Later you'll see panels that are just like absolutely stunning. I think the artist Neko Kurage did amazing job on the art style, and I super enjoy it. So yeah, I definitely would recommend you to try this one out if you like court palace dramas and also a bit of mystery as well as a strong female lead. I really enjoy this one, and the anime is coming out, so definitely get into this before it gets super hyped, because I feel like this is gonna be a big one, and then all the volumes are gonna be sold out everywhere like Spy Family was. So definitely get into this now. Next, I have a manga that is more of the Isekai genre, and this one is the Savior's Book Cafe Story in Another World. This one was super cute. I super love this one. It's basically about a girl who is in her 30s, and she's kind of just living her life day to day. She's pretty content, and then one day someone was like, hey, you're gonna get isekai into another world, and she's like, well, I don't really want to go, I'm not really bothered. And she's like, why do you want to go? Like, everyone else wants to go because they get like super cool powers and they get to do new life. And she's like, well, if I have to go, then can I have like these really strong powers? And he's like, yeah, I guess so, because there aren't any rules. So she basically just found like a loophole within going to another world where she just literally asks for everything she wants, and she just gets it because there's actually no rules to what you want. So people are just usually like, oh, make me beautiful, oh, make me, powerful, and then that's it. But she pretty much asks for everything she wants, so it's really cool. And what she does when she gets there is basically set up a book cafe, so like a cafe where people can come and read, have a snack, have a drink, and then also read like a lot of books. And I felt like that is so nice. Like, that is something that I would want to do in my life, just set up a book cafe and just like get all these books and customers who come and read. That would be so nice. But basically, one of the guys comes and visits her. I think he's like a soldier, and he starts to come and read and have snacks with her, and then it's just really cute. And he actually doesn't know that they are looking for this type of person who is like, they're gonna be like the savior of their world, but she kind of keeps her abilities very quiet because she doesn't really want to become the savior of this world. But yeah, things come to light and things happen from there. But like, look at the delicious food. It looks so good. You would eat that, wouldn't you? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the relationship between them is really super cute. I have been waiting for the third volume to come in stock for me to buy it, so I pretty much got that, I think, now, so I'm able to continue this series. But it only finishes at 5 volumes, I think, so it is quite a short story, but it's been really cute and it's quite fast paced in my opinion. So I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a romance isekai. I think if you're not super into isekais and you have kind of like a stigma about what isekais are like, then I'll definitely recommend you to check this one out, because it might change your mind about them. Because I also kind of had a stigma about isekais because I thought they were very much harem and a lot of like fan service, but it's not true. Actually, there's a lot of like Josei, Shojo isekais that are coming out now. So yeah, definitely recommend this one if you want a cute romance isekai story. And something different is a shonen series. This is my favorite ongoing shonen series, Kaiju number 8, and I super enjoyed this one. Like, I didn't really expect to enjoy this one, but I really enjoyed it. But this is about a guy in his 30s as well, which is great. I love stories with protagonists that are older than 30, because I feel like we get so many like young protagonists that do like really crazy and overpowering stuff, but it's like, I mean, people in their 30s can do that too. Like, why does it always have to be the young kids? But anyways, this is a guy in his 30s, and he basically wants to become part of this this group where they eliminate kaiju, because a lot of kaiju have been cropping up here and there. But he's actually on like the cleanup duty, where after the battle finishes, he has to like clean up the guts and disgusting bits of the kaiju that's left over, because he hasn't been able to pass this exam that lets him become part of this like military defense force, which he wants to be in. And he has a childhood friend that is actually rising in the ranks of the defense force, and he made a promise to her at one point when they were a child that they'd do that together, but he hasn't been able to keep his promise. But one day he gets the opportunity to redo the exam, and then he finally does it and gets to become part of the defense force. But then something happens where he is basically recovering from an injury, and then a bug comes and bites him and then he then gets the ability to transform into a kaiju himself, and so he gets really overpowered in that way. But also humans are not allowed to become kaijus because they will basically get executed. So he's kind of trying to hide this ability from the military defense force because he doesn't want to be eliminated, and then things start from there. So this is his form, his kaiju form, and he is really powerful in this form. But in his human form, he's actually like one of the lowest ranking defense force people. So it's kind of like a journey of him trying to, you know, hide the fact that he can turn into this kaiju, but also like keeping it reined in as well, because when his fellow comrades are in trouble, he really wants to help them out. But yeah, I really enjoy this. Like the side characters in this are really good as well, and I just really like the fact that, I don't know if this will change, but I really like the fact that this doesn't have any overbearing fan service at all. Like there's no fan service in this. And I really like that, because I find that a lot of shonen titles have some kind of fan service in there. Like it's very rare to find shonen series, like action series or battle shonen, that don't have a little bit of like fan service or like a perverted character. And I really enjoy that this one doesn't have that. And I know that's like, it might not be a big deal for some people, but I don't really love reading about like perverted characters or fan service, or even like male characters like lifting up girl skirts and stuff like that, you know, like the typical stuff that we've seen in a lot of shonen battle manga. So yeah, I really appreciate this one. Love the older protagonist and loving the side characters as well. So definitely check this one out if you're looking for a really fun battle shonen manga. Yeah. And then I have a BL title that is one of my favorite ongoing BL titles, which is Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. This one I've talked about many times in my videos, I'm pretty sure, but it is literally my favorite ongoing BL series, and actually just my top favorite BL series like of all time, because it is just super cute. It is so nice. The volumes are super thin, and it's printed by Square Enix Manga, which I feel like they're releasing some really good ones. Like I have 3 books in this stack in my top 10 that are from Square Enix, so I am like really happy about this publisher. They're printing some really good stuff. But this one is about 2 office workers. They work together, and one of the guys is 30 years old and he's still a virgin. And once he turns 30, he ends up getting these magical powers where he is able to read minds when he gets in contact with people. And then so on this day, he realizes that he can read minds, and then he accidentally bumps into this guy who is like a big shot in the company. He's like very good looking, very well loved. He's very popular. You know, he's a good sales guy. He just knows what he's doing. So he ends up bumping into him on the elevator, and then finally reads his thoughts accidentally and realizes that this guy has had a crush on him for the whole time. So he's like really shocked, like, what? I'm like a loser in the office. I'm not even good at my job. Like, why does he even like me? And then you kind of find out like their story and the history of why he starts liking him, and it's like so cute. And it's just like, it's just like the shenanigans that go on with him being able to read his mind, and his thoughts of him are just so funny, and they're quite pure but also a little bit, a little bit frisky as well, and it's just really cute. I really like it. I really love their dynamic. I think they're like super cute. I recently read volume 6, which is the new one that came out, and I just loved it so much. It was probably like my favorite volume. And there was also some side characters in here which are quite cute. And yeah, I think their love story is just really pure. And I know it has like a parental advisory, explicit content, but up to the 6th volume, there hasn't been anything, like not even the latest volumes have anything worth like an explicit content warning, which is crazy. So if you like something really wholesome, a really cute BL story, I'll definitely recommend this one. I always recommend this one to everyone if they are looking for BL stories. Even if they're looking for something like spicy, I would still recommend this one because it's just so cute. Like, it might not have that much spice. I kind of wish it did a little bit, but yeah, really good. Super recommend this one. Definitely check this out, and yeah, definitely let me know what you think because it's one of my favorites. And then another series that is a girls' love this time is How Do We Relationship by Tamiful. So this one I've also talked about many times in my channel, but it is super good. This one has been ongoing, I think, and it's like 10 plus volumes, which is really rare, I feel like, for a Yuri series to go on that long. But I'm really glad this one is coming out because it's really good. It is a little bit more unconventional in terms of the romance genre, where it feels a little bit more like a realistic relationship. It's got a bit more angst, it's got a bit more heartbreak, it's got a bit of unconventional, storytelling in terms of how the relationship actually goes. Is not just like, these two people meet, they end up having this long kind of courting session, and then they finally get together and then they live happily ever after. It's definitely not like that. It's more like how two people who may not be compatible in love end up, trying out a relationship because they both are interested in females, and then they kind of go through a lot of hurdles and like internalized insecurities that they have within a relationship, and the way they kind of deal with that, and then the way they grow and change. And it's like super messy. In my opinion, this is quite messy, like compared to some of the other stuff I've read. Like, it's not fluffy, it's very raw as well, and I really like that about it. At first I was a bit like, I don't know if I really want to read something that's kind of like this, but I ended up really enjoying it. And the recent volume 8 was super good, and you will see later because I don't want to spoil it, but there are like some characters in there that I super love. This girl I didn't like at first, Saiko, and she kind of annoyed me at the start, but I really grew to like her. And it's basically about these two girls who are friends in college, and they end up finding out that they both interested in women, not men. So they kind of start up a relationship like, hey, we're both interested in women, why don't we just date each other? And then they realize that they actually are not compatible in love in the way they thought they were just because they were friends. And so they go through a lot of hurdles, as well as finding out about the struggles of being in a lesbian relationship, like things that people say around them as well. And I feel like there is more so internalized homophobia rather than outright homophobia between some of them, but between the stories. So I would be probably one of that, but it is really good. And I think if you are looking for a Yuri series to try, I would definitely recommend it. I think not a lot of people will enjoy this at first, in my opinion, because I was really iffed about the first volume, but I continued because a friend of mine actually really enjoyed it. So I kept continuing, and it just gets better and better, in my opinion. And I feel like there's a lot of sadness, but it is intended. Like, that helps the story progress in a better direction. So I would say stick with it. If you really don't like it after like the 3rd volume, then yeah, it's probably not for you. But I think it just gets better as the volumes go on. So yeah, recommend this one for sure. And then for my Seinen pick, I definitely loved Sweat and Soap. This was one that I read probably at the beginning of when I started to read manga again, and it was just super good. Like, this title and this cover alone is not gonna make you want to pick this up, right? Like, look at it. Looks a bit weird and a bit sus in my opinion. Like, I saw this like a few years ago in the store and I was like, what the heck is that? I would never pick that up. But Himeka on YouTube recommended this a lot to a lot of people, so I decided to pick it up, and god, it was amazing. Like, I was addicted to this series. I literally read it like in one sitting. It was so good, and I didn't have all the volumes yet, so I pretty much read it online, and then I got all the volumes and then like reread the volumes that I got, and it's just so good. It's really looking weird, like it's a bit sus, but I would definitely recommend how wholesome it is in my opinion. It has one of the healthiest adult relationships that I've ever read about in fiction, so definitely recommend it. But this one is about a girl who has like a sweating problem. She's very self-conscious about it, and she's not like dirty or anything, but she just sweats a lot, and she tries to clean herself up like each day so that she, you know, doesn't show her sweat to anyone. But then she's basically looking lovingly at a new soap that's released in her company. I think it's called Lilia Drops. It's been a while since I read it, but she is looking like really happy about the soap that's been made, the newly made soap, and she kind of releases these, you know, pheromones because of how happy she is. Because when you're happy, you know, you release like some kind of pheromone, and he happens to be able to smell these pheromones, and he like gets a whiff of her and is like, oh my god, this is like my new inspiration. I need to find out who is this. And then he finds out it's from her, and then he like chases her down and be like, hey, I need you for my, you know, new soap experiment, because he basically works at the same place as her, and he is basically like a kind of like a soap designer, and he makes up like the smells of the new soaps that are in this company. So he's like, you are my new inspiration, you are my muse, I need to be able to smell you so that I can come up with this like fantastic product. And she's a bit like really weirded out, because anyone would be, right? But she's like, okay, if it's for the sake of the company and the success of this soap, then I must do it. So she basically lets him smell her like every day, and yeah, it starts off super weird, but trust me, it's super wholesome, it's super sweet. I love it so much. Like, this is definitely one of my favorite romance. It is a seinen, so I would say like I would recommend for like 18 plus people, because there is some content in here that shouldn't be probably read by younger people, but definitely recommend this one for romance. And also the first volume, the first chapter, I would say, is probably feels very rushed and like uncharacteristic of, you know, her. But apparently, reading about it, this was actually a one chapter series, and it was like a one shot or one chapter series, and then it got so much hype and popularity and love that the author ended up writing the whole story. So that's why we ended up with like, was it like 11 volumes? So that's really cool. So I think that's why the beginning might seem quite rushed, but it is because of that. So yeah, you'll see it slow down a little bit more when the volumes go on, but it's super healthy relationship. There's a lot of communication, and it's just super sweet. Definitely highly recommend it. And the side characters are amazing as well. They're not there to like, you know, split apart this couple or like cause drama within their, you know, relationship, which I really loved. I hate it when like side characters are introduced just to become like people who make drama between a couple. So yeah, super recommend this one. Definitely if you're 18 plus, check it out, because I loved it a lot. And we got one in the romance genre, which I super loved, which is A Sign of Perfection by Sue Morishita. Everyone is talking about this series. Everyone knows about this series. Everyone has read this series. So I would highly recommend you check this out, because the hype is real. But it's about Yuki, a deaf girl who ends up kind of falling for a guy on this train, because I think a foreigner comes up to her to talk to her, and she obviously is deaf, so she can't really understand what he's saying. And then he kind of knows a lot of foreign languages and kind of comes to help her and be like, hey, you know, let me help you instead. And they end up finding out that they are in the same school, I think, or college. Or her college friend is friends with someone who knows this guy, so they end up kind of hanging out together as four of them, and yeah, they kind of develop a really sweet and cute relationship. And this guy, I always forget his name, Itsuomi, that's it. I always remember Yuki, but I don't remember Itsuomi, because not gonna lie, I feel like Yuki really shines in this manga a lot more than Itsuomi. In my opinion, I love her a lot more than the male character, but the male character is really nice. He basically likes traveling a lot. He knows a lot of different languages, and he starts kind of taking an interest in her because of her sign language, and he also wants to start learning sign language, and they kind of start a really special relationship. And it's been really cute so far. I feel like there is a love triangle that's being introduced. I haven't continued this series after volume 4, but I am really intrigued to continue it, and also really love the first 3 volumes that I've read. And yeah, I just really recommend this. I think it's like one of those mangas that like give you butterflies. It's also set in college, which I really like, because I feel like a lot of shoujo manga is about high school girls, and obviously I am not in that age range, and obviously I am also not in college, but it is a lot more closer to my age range than high school. So I really enjoy that part about it, how they're a little bit older. I definitely didn't enjoy Sumi Morishi's other work, Short KK, but I definitely super enjoyed this one. So if you're a bit hesitant in going into this one because you didn't enjoy her other work, then I definitely recommend you to try this one. And also, Sumi Morishita is actually a duo of 2 women. So sorry if I kept saying her when it's just, it's 2 women. Yeah. But yeah, definitely recommend this one, and super excited to try the next ones out. And the covers on this are always stunning, so I'm super excited to collect them. And the spines are going to be like pastel rainbow, which is perfect. But yeah, and the color pages, beautiful. And the 9th one we have is 7th Time Loop. So this one is also, I think, a Shojo Isekai or Josei Isekai, but it's not really Isekai, it's more of like a time loop reincarnation story, and it is super good. I've also talked about this pretty much multiple times on my channel, I think, but I really enjoy it. And volume 2 came out this month, and I read it, and it was amazing. It was so good. I really love this one. It's becoming one of my favorite series of all time. So this story is about Rish, and it starts with her about to get engaged, but then one of the princes, I think, calls off his engagement, and she's kind of like shocked, and she kind of gets banished as well. And then she needs to kind of sort out her life and find a new life for herself. And then she ends up becoming a accessory to like this merchant, and then she starts learning the ways of a merchant, and then gets loads of money, and she just lives her life normally like she would. She just finds a way to live her life after this whole engagement break off thing and getting shunned from her family. But then every time she turns 20, she gets killed by the same man each time, and each time she gets killed, she ends up time looping back onto the day that her engagement gets called off. And then so each time she kind of has to just redo her life again. So she's been doing her life like 6 times already, and each time she does it, she kind of tries to find a different way to live. So one time she becomes like a maid, so she gets really good knowledge about like cleaning and housework and things like that. And then another time she becomes like a soldier, so she's like really good in combat, and also she has a lot of those skills there. And then another time she becomes like the merchant, as we said. And so each time she just time loops, she just makes a really good life for herself, and just tries to do as much as she can to learn more each time, which I thought was really cool, because I feel like instead of like moping about her life constantly being rewinded, she just makes the most of it and just tries to like really work hard not to get killed again. But yeah, for her 7th life, she wants to kind of just do nothing. She wants to laze around and just relax, and so she is determined to marry someone and just live a nice peaceful life and try not to die this time. And she meets a guy, a prince I think, from another kingdom, and she kind of attracts his attention because she ends up jumping from like a cliff, not cliff, from a building, and he's basically there watching her, and he's like, okay, she's really interesting, and then he proposes to her, and then she ends up accepting this and being like, you know what, I'm gonna accept this proposal and I'm gonna try to prevent my death, because this guy is the person who has been killing her every time she turns 20. So she is like, I'm gonna find out what he's up to, what has changed in the past 10 years, and how he changes in the way that makes him into like this cold-blooded killer. And so she's determined to find that out, so she accepts his proposal, and it kind of goes on from there. And it's just really, really great because she uses every knowledge that she has in the previous life to go about her days in her new home. And she's just very clever. She's very self-sufficient, which I really love. Like, I feel like it's really rare to find female protagonists who are self-sufficient in some stories, so I really love her about that. And yeah, it's just the relationship between these two in the second volume is getting really like good, like very nice. So I'm really, really enjoying that aspect of it, that romance element that's kind of developing. He's very intrigued by her because she doesn't do things in a conventional way, and so yeah, I like how much of an interest she's taking to him. And the art style is beautiful, it's just stunning. The guy in here, oh my god, he's so handsome. Definitely recommend this one. Really enjoying it. It's definitely going to be one of my all-time favorites. Super, super love this. Enjoyed this one. And then the last one I have is My Happy Marriage. I feel like I've also talked about this many, many times. It's one of my all-time favorite shoujo mangas of all time, and it's basically a historical romance shoujo, and it is really super heartbreaking and lovely. In terms of the story, it's about a girl, Mio, who gets born into a family that usually has supernatural powers, but she ends up not having any supernatural powers that the family can see. And her father basically had a love of his life, but due to family pressures, he wasn't able to marry that person. So he ended up marrying her mother, and he never really forgot about his old love. So once her mother passes away, he ends up remarrying the love of his life and his previous lover, and she is like horrible to Mio. It's basically like a Cinderella story where the stepmother is like horrible to her and like doesn't let her in the house. There is also another sister, so the stepmother's child, she is also horrible to her, like, and the dad just ignores all that's going on because he feels like she doesn't have any supernatural powers, so like he feels like kind of like he's abandoning her because he doesn't really feel like that's his real daughter, because the stepdaughter actually has supernatural powers. So she kind of becomes a slave to this estate and is not treated very well at all. And then she later gets kind of sold off or like sent off to become married to this man who is like a cold, very stoic soldier. Everyone kind of talks about and rumors about him being very like strict and scary and just like merciless. But then she kind of goes to that household and finds out that he's not as cold as everyone else says. In terms of him, kind of he warms up to Mio, like as the story progresses, like the way she acts, he's a bit like, why is she acting like this when she's supposed to be like a pampered brat, because she came from a really like well established family, like she should be wearing really high-end clothing and should be acting a certain way, but she's really humble and she does a lot of the housework when she doesn't need to, and it's just very sweet. And there's like a kind of like a little granny caretaker in this she's so cute. I really love her. She's like the sweetest person, and she also really sticks up for Mia as well. And the fact that this guy treats the little granny, like granny caretaker, so well just shows that he is not like a cold blooded, you know, murderer or anything like that. And she basically starts to warm up to him, and he starts to warm up to her, and their relationship kind of starts blossoming slowly but surely. And she also starts to come out from the trauma that she's experienced with her family, and, you know, starts to learn to love herself. And I think this story is just beautiful. It's like a super, super beautiful story of healing from trauma, as well as, you know, trying to find love in yourself when no one else was able to do that to you. Like, no one was giving you love, so obviously how can you love yourself when no one is loving you as well, and always putting you down and treating you like dirt. So it's really cute. And also, I love male characters who would literally burn down the whole world to find you and also save you. Like, that is my thing. Like, I love that so much. And this, he has that vibe, that capability, and it just, oh, it's so good. But yeah, definitely enjoyed this one. I cried a lot in it. It is like the most beautiful story ever. Definitely recommend this one if you like historical shoujo. It's definitely not the typical shoujo in my opinion. It's got a lot of depth. It's got a lot of, you know. So yeah, this was my top 10 manga of 2022. I super enjoyed filming this, and also recommending you some new series that I hope that you'll try out. I really hope that if you do end up trying some of these out, you let me know how you enjoyed it. And if you've already read some of these, definitely let me know if you enjoyed it as well, because I'm super excited to hear all your thoughts about different manga that people have read, as well as, you know, differing opinions on some of the ones that I loved, or differing opinions on the ones I didn't enjoy. So yeah, definitely let me know, and I hope you enjoyed watching my top 10 manga of 2022. Sorry it was so delayed, but yeah, I finally ended up getting it out, so hope you enjoyed, and definitely let me know down in the comments what your top 10 favorites were of 2022. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!